Deep beneath the ocean's surface, far beyond the reach of sunlight and human exploration, something unusual was detected. It wasn't a whale's call or the rumble of underwater volcanoes. No, this sound was different. It echoed through the darkness, a low, powerful frequency that seemed almost alive. And the strangest part? It didn't match any known natural or human-made source. Today, we'll take you on a journey into the mysterious depths of Earth's oceans to unravel the story of an enigmatic sound that's left scientists baffled for decades. Known simply as the bloop, it was recorded only once. But that one recording has fueled theories of giant sea creatures, alien life, and even secret military experiments. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet, yet we've explored less than 10% of it. It's a world of darkness, pressure, and cold, where strange life forms thrive in complete isolation. But even in this alien environment, sounds travel. In 1997, a series of underwater microphones, hydrophones, set up by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, picked up a sound unlike anything ever recorded. It wasn't just loud, it was massive. The sound spanned thousands of kilometers, picked up by multiple listening stations. Imagine a sound so powerful it traveled across an entire ocean, yet no known creature or geological phenomenon could explain it. The team analyzing the data dubbed it the bloop, a name that almost sounds playful, until you realize the terrifying scale of what it implies. If it came from a creature, that creature would have to be several times larger than a blue whale, the largest known animal on Earth. But no such animal has ever been documented. Could it be something lurking in the Hadal trenches, miles beneath the surface, where the pressure is crushing and temperatures hover near freezing? Or was it something else entirely? Something not of this Earth? The mystery deepens when you consider where the sound originated. Tracking its source led researchers to a remote area of the South Pacific Ocean near a place known as Point Nemo, the oceanic pole of inaccessibility. This spot is the farthest point from any landmass on Earth, surrounded by thousands of miles of empty sea. If there was ever a place to hide something colossal and unknown, this would be it. But what could produce such a sound? Some scientists proposed a simple explanation. The sound might have been caused by ice quakes, massive cracks in the ice shelves of Antarctica, reverberating underwater. This theory seemed plausible, but not everyone was convinced. The sound profile didn't perfectly match other icequake recordings, and the sheer intensity of the bloop suggested something more. As word of the mysterious sound spread, the public imagination ran wild. Some linked it to the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, whose fictional sunken city of Arlia, home to the cosmic entity Cthulhu, was located suspiciously close to the sound source. Others speculated it was a giant squid, a leviathan species unknown to science, or even an extraterrestrial craft rising from the depths. For the scientists monitoring the hydrophones, it was both exciting and unsettling. If it was a creature, it would challenge everything we knew about marine biology. If it wasn't a creature, then what in the natural world could make such a sound at such scale? But the story doesn't end there. Years passed, and no similar sounds were recorded. Despite continuous monitoring of the ocean's deep, the bloop remained a singular sound. And the follow-up, repeat, just one unexplained burst of sound deep. Yet as we learned more about the ocean and its mysterious noises, other strange sounds began to appear. Names like Julia, Train, and Slow Down joined the bloop in the growing catalog of unexplained underwater sounds, each with its own eerie profile, each raising new questions about what really lies beneath the waves. And then came the deeper question: what if we're not alone down there? Some researchers began to wonder if these sounds were signals, communications, not accidents. Could an unknown intelligence be using sound in ways we can't yet comprehend? Consider this. Sound travels faster and farther underwater than it does through air. Marine animals like whales and dolphins have evolved complex sound-based communication to navigate and find each other across vast distances. What if something far older, far stranger, was using the ocean's depths as a natural amplifier, sending messages we've only just begun to overhear? Some even speculate that the ocean floor itself might hide ancient technologies, or remnants of past civilizations long lost to history. After all, many human cities are known to have been swallowed by rising seas over millennia. Could the bloop have been an echo of forgotten machinery, stirring awake after eons of silence? But if that sound truly was an echo, an ancient machine reactivating beneath the crushing weight of the sea, then what was it built for? And who or what built it? Some theorists have whispered for years about the possibility of pre-human civilizations, advanced societies that rose and fell long before recorded history, their cities swallowed by rising seas, their technologies left buried beneath layers of sediment and time. Could the bloop have been the accidental startup of machinery we've long forgotten? Or worse, was it a deliberate signal? A beacon, waiting for something or someone to respond? Because shortly after the bloop was detected in 1997, other strange anomalies began to appear. Not just sounds, but subtle vibrations. Instruments deep below the ocean's crust started picking up faint tremors that didn't match the tectonic plates' known movements. Magnetic readings fluctuated in patterns no natural phenomenon could explain. Ships crossing near the sound's origin began reporting malfunctions, navigation systems glitching, unexplained interference on radios. And then came the sonar pings. Deep-sea research vessels sent out mapping signals, only to receive echoes that suggested structures, enormous, symmetrical shapes on the seafloor. Shapes too uniform, too geometric to be coral reefs or rock formations. Images classified by governments, files sealed, researchers silenced. For most of the world, the bloop faded into an internet curiosity, a footnote in the strange sounds of the deep. But behind closed doors, within certain agencies, it triggered something else. Fear. Because if that sound wasn't an animal and wasn't an earthquake, then what exactly had stirred awake in the cold, crushing blackness of the abyss? A retired naval officer, speaking anonymously, once described a classified mission to investigate. He claimed their submarine descended into the South Pacific depths near the bloop's coordinates. At first, their instruments detected nothing unusual, but then their sonar picked up a faint, rhythmic pulse. Not random, not seismic, but deliberate, almost mechanical, and then movement. A massive shadow, larger than their vessel, gliding silently across the ocean floor. Their sonar lost it within seconds. Whatever it was, it moved faster than any known submarine. They surfaced immediately. The mission was terminated. Officially, nothing had been found. But unofficially, the officer said his superiors told him never to speak of it again. Some believe what they saw wasn't a creature at all, but a vessel, a remnant of something that had once ruled the oceans, now dormant, waiting, or maybe watching. Because what if the ocean isn't just a habitat? What if it's a vault, a sealed chamber, hiding things humanity isn't meant to disturb? Myths of sea monsters, krakens, leviathans, every culture with a coastline has them. Legends of beings beneath the waves, sometimes angry, sometimes indifferent, but always sample imagination, the argumenters, summaries of real encounters passed down through generations, diluted into folklore. And the bloop? Maybe it wasn't a cry. Maybe it wasn't even a voice. Maybe it was an alarm, a warning, or an invitation. Since 1997, similar sounds have been detected, fainter, further apart, like echoes bouncing through vast underwater chambers. Some recordings, analyzed spectrally, revealed harmonics that didn't align with known marine life. Some researchers claimed the frequencies resembled those used in early sonar communications, except inverted, almost as if the signal wasn't designed to be received, but to summon. But summon what? Deep-sea probes sent near the bloop's coordinates experienced unexplained failures. Some imploded under pressure that should have been survivable. Others vanished from trackers altogether. And the few that returned sent back fragmented data. Images blurred, obscured by something. Shadows too large to make sense. Metallic glints where there should have been bare rock. One engineer, after reviewing footage from a recovered probe, reportedly resigned immediately, citing unbearable dreams. His colleagues said he refused to go near water afterward. He never spoke of what he'd seen, so now we're left with questions. Was the bloop a natural anomaly, or was it the sound of something ancient, stirring beneath miles of ocean after eons of silence? And if it woke up once, will it wake up again? Perhaps we were never meant to hear it. Perhaps our instruments weren't supposed to pick it up. Maybe, just maybe, by listening, we signaled our presence. We confirmed we were here, that we were watching, that we were getting closer. But closer to what? Maybe the ocean isn't hiding monsters. Maybe it's hiding their prisons. And the bloop? Maybe that was the sound of a lock, opening. Think about it. Why did it only happen once? Why hasn't it repeated? Or what if it has, and we simply haven't been told? Maybe the first time was an accident, a sound that slipped through the veil of secrecy, a brief moment when the deep revealed itself before the world could turn its gaze away. But what if the next times were caught, recorded, and locked away behind layers of classification? Some say the governments of the world have long known that the oceans hide more than just fish and forgotten shipwrecks. They've known of structures, of patterns, of signals pulsing beneath the waves. Perhaps the bloop wasn't a singular event, but part of a sequence, a chain reaction set in motion long before humanity even crawled onto land. Some marine biologists who were on the front lines of analyzing deep-sea anomalies in the late 90s and early 2000s have mysteriously vanished from academia, their papers unpublished, their projects discontinued. Their colleagues whisper about private contracts, about sudden disappearances, about strange non-disclosure agreements that sealed their research forever. And then there are the other sounds, the Julia, the upsweep, the slow down, all recorded in similar depths, all unexplained. Are they connected? Are they messages, or warnings, or simply echoes of things moving in the dark? Because what if the bloop wasn't an isolated cry, but part of a language we were never meant to hear? And if it is a language, then who is speaking? Or worse, who is listening? Some theorists believe the ocean is not just a habitat, but a boundary, a thin veil between our world and something deeper, something older. Myths across cultures speak of submerged cities, of sleeping gods, of leviathans chained beneath the waves. Atlantis, Rilia, Mu. What if they weren't stories, but distorted memories of encounters long ago? What if humanity has always known to fear the deep, not because of what swims there, but because of what slumbers there? And the bloop? What if that was the sound of something stirring in its sleep? Or maybe the sound of a cage unlocking? Think of the scale. The bloop was so loud it was picked up by sensors thousands of kilometers apart. The creature, or machine, that could make such a sound would have to be larger than anything we've ever imagined. And yet, since then, silence. Or so they tell us. But what if the silence is by design? What if someone, or something, is suppressing the signals now? Or worse, what if it's no longer sending signals because it's no longer where it was? What if it's moving? Some say deep sea mapping projects have been halted in certain zones. Some satellite imagery has been quietly scrubbed or blurred in specific ocean regions. Some ships have gone missing, their last transmissions garbled, filled with static and strange, low-frequency hums. And the few survivors, often found drifting, dehydrated, unable, or unwilling to speak of what they saw. We like to think we've mapped the world, that there are no more blank spaces left on the globe. But the truth is, we know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the deepest trenches of our own oceans. There are miles of darkness down there, pressures that would crush metal, ecosystems that defy explanation, and maybe in those depths, things that watch, things that wait. Maybe the bloop wasn't a warning. Maybe it wasn't even directed at us. Maybe we were just unfortunate enough to overhear it. Or maybe it was a beacon, a call. And if that's true, then who or what was meant to answer? Maybe it wasn't a creature at all. Maybe it was a signal, an activation code, a password spoken in the language of abyssal pressure and tectonic rumble. Maybe something down there was locked away for a reason, and now, piece by piece, the locks are breaking. Maybe we didn't detect the bloop by accident. Maybe we were supposed to hear it. Maybe hearing it was the key to letting it out. And if so, what did we unleash? The oceans cover 70% of our planet, and beneath them lies a world as alien as any distant galaxy. A world we barely understand. And yet, we drill, we dive, we disturb. How long before something disturbed decides to disturb us back? Some believe it already has. Strange carcasses have washed ashore in remote places, unidentifiable, decomposed beyond recognition. Sonar images hint at moving shapes, too large to be schools of fish, too organized to be random formations. And sometimes, at night, ships drifting near the coordinates of the bloop report seeing distant lights beneath the surface, flickering in patterns, rising slowly only to vanish before dawn. What kind of creature glows with such intelligence? Or what kind of vessel? And so we're left with questions that no one seems willing to answer, or perhaps no one is allowed to answer. The bloop remains, officially, a mystery resolved as icequake or shifting sea ice. But those who've listened to the raw recording, those who felt its reverberations deep in their bones, they know. They've heard something else in that sound. They've heard something else in that sound. Something ancient. Something familiar in a way that made no sense. Like the echo of a nightmare from a dream you've never had, but somehow always feared. And since that day, the ones who truly listened have never been the same. Some report hearing it again, faintly, late at night when the house is still and the wind is quiet. Low, thrumming vibrations just beneath the threshold of perception, as though the ocean's call had followed them inland, into their very bones. Others dream of vast black waters stretching forever, of titanic shadows moving beneath them, of unseen eyes watching from the abyss. And yet, they keep listening, because once you've heard it, you're marked, drawn, as if the sound wasn't just noise, but an invitation, or a summons. In the years since, strange things have happened near the coordinates of the bloop, sonar buoys malfunctioning simultaneously without explanation. Research vessels losing contact for hours, returning with damaged equipment and crew members unwilling to speak. Submersibles descending and never resurfacing, their last transmissions filled with static, punctuated by faint, rhythmic pulses. Pulses matching the spectrogram of the original bloop. And then there's the footage, the blurry, pixelated video that circulates quietly among certain circles, never officially acknowledged, never confirmed. A camera lowered into the depths captures a flicker of movement, something enormous, coiling, unfurling, before the feed cuts to black. Some say it's a hoax, others say it's a warning, but those who've seen it know better. They recognize the same cadence, the same pattern, the same impossible scale that haunted the original sound. And the rumors continue. Satellite scans showing sudden thermal anomalies deep beneath the Pacific. Sonar, pings that return with inexplicable Doppler shifts, as though bouncing off something moving faster than anything biological should be able to move at such depths. Entire schools of deep-sea fish migrating away from an unseen force, leaving ecological voids stretching for miles. And all the while, the ocean grows quieter, not in the absence of life, but as though life itself is holding its breath. The creatures of the deep no longer singing, no longer calling to each other as if something larger now occupies the waters and they dare not disturb it. And in the silence, the world above remains oblivious, going about its days unaware that something is rising, slowly, inevitably. Some say the bloop was a mistake, a fluke, a random phenomenon never to be repeated. But others know it was only the first sound, the first syllable, a beginning, because a language that vast, spoken by something that ancient, wouldn't waste itself on a single cry. It would unfold slowly, deliberately, syllable by syllable, echoing through time, through pressure, through tectonic layers, until the full message is spoken, and we are the audience, or maybe the recipients, or maybe the prey. What happens when the message is complete? What happens when the call is answered? Because if the bloop was the first word, then the last word is still in every detail, every unexplained tremble in the sea, every strange light glimpsed in the depths, every vessel lost without trace, is another syllable in a sentence we were never meant to hear. But now we've heard it. Now we're listening. And somewhere beneath miles of crushing darkness, something knows, and something waits. And one day, maybe soon, the sea will speak again. And this time, it won't be a whisper. It will be a roar. And as that roar rises, scientists will gather data they cannot explain. Graphs will spike in impossible patterns. Instruments will fail under forces they were never designed to withstand. Ships near the epicenter will disappear from radar, leaving only frantic distress calls that cut off mid-scream, as if swallowed by the ocean itself. The tide will pull in strange ways, drawing water toward a singular point far offshore, revealing long-buried shapes on the seafloor. Massive, geometric, unmistakably deliberate, and across the world, those who once heard the bloop will awaken from uneasy dreams, clutching their chests as if their hearts resonate with some deep, inexorable rhythm. Governments will issue no statements, but satellites will realign, fleets will reposition, and deep-sea probes will descend under secrecy, their findings sealed away, never to reach the public. But whispers will leak, tales of colossal structures stirring beneath the abyss, of lights blinking in patterns too complex to be random, of voices, not human, not machine, chanting in frequencies no ear should decipher. And still the sound builds, layer upon layer, an orchestra of pressure and resonance, an incantation older than human memory, waiting for the final note.